What's up guys, Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. In today's video, we're going to touch a little bit on HBAR, Algo, QNT, and a few other alts, and we'll dive into XRP in the next one. I hope you guys find the end of this video interesting, and let's get into it. Okay, first up guys, we are looking at the HBAR price chart. Now I want to point out a few things. Going back to December 2020, just about 2 years ago, we can see the circulating supply for HBAR was 6.6 billion. And also, during the beginning of the cycle, bull run, everything started taking off. We can see that HBAR, even from this low, actually did over a 20x return too, creating an all-time high at about 57 to 58 cents. Now during this bear market, from its all-time high price, we are down about 93%, and we can see that HBAR circulating supply has increased to 25 billion. So I know last year the circulating supply was maybe 12 billion or so, then it was 22 billion for a bit, now it's up to 25 billion. The total supply of HBAR is 50 billion, so we're currently sitting at 50% of tokens in circulation today. And per Econ 101, the smaller the supply, the better. This can create scarcity when demand comes, and of course, pushing the price up. Now, I'm definitely disappointed about HBAR's circulating supply increasing this quickly over the past couple years, but I'm still a huge believer in this project. No, I am not paid to talk about HBAR by anybody or any group. I love HBAR, and I have a huge amount of respect for the team, but yeah, this bear market has definitely been tough. And if we look at the supply increase over the past 2 years alone, we can see 25 billion circulating supply divided by 6.6. That is a factor of 3.7. So the supply has almost grown 4 times in the past 2 years. So I tweeted this morning and I was taking a look at Masari. So I did provide the links if you guys follow me on Twitter, but just to go over this really quick. And if anybody could provide any additional insight or information regarding HBAR's token release schedule going forward that is updated, or any insight regarding the recent selling pressure for HBAR, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now back to Masari, and I don't know how accurate this is, so please take this with a grain of salt, but we can see no more than 34% of the total HBAR is expected to be released until 2025. And 34% multiplied by the total supply of HBAR, which is finite, is 50 billion. So 34% times 50 billion, that is 17 billion tokens. And today we're already at 25 billion versus 17 billion. And it's still 2022. So if anybody has any additional insight why this number is significantly higher than 34%, we're at 50% now, please let me know. We can look at the supply schedule and look at the liquid supply curve as well. You can export this. I guess I was just a tad more optimistic in terms of maybe a more linear release rather than a big release this year. Now overall, I'm a huge believer in HBAR guys. I personally believe that it does very well in the future. The partnerships are massive, the use case is huge, and for any layer 1 technology going after enterprise adoption, a bigger supply is needed for utility of the network. I get that. I think it's just a lot more painful being down, over 90% in this bear market for well over a year at this point. And once again, not financial advice, I do believe HBAR finds its bottom. The lowest gap that I know of, and thanks to Chris, was at 1.8 cents. So if we had some type of crazy liquidity crisis, anything is possible per the recent video going over slippage and order books. But overall, I'm going to stay in HBAR bull long term. I'm going to keep DCing at these lows. Once we start retracing and, reclaiming other levels or challenging a high in the future, I'm not going to be entering. That's when I start to stagger my sells out at a couple take profit points, sit in US dollar, and then wait to reassess. And yes, even conservatively speaking, I believe HBAR can still hit $1 in the future. And what I like, even going over just the weekly chart, looking at the macro, weekly RSI is absolutely bottomed out. We can see last time we actually went on a run during a bull run, we flew. Even if it took a while and we were still down here and we finally started climbing, going all the way up to oversold, that would be a hell of a run. And if you're a mega bear, which is definitely expected during this bear market, I don't blame you. I still believe there is huge probability that HBAR in the future at least approaches its previous all-time high, at least around this double top. But the question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to wait? Now to talk about QNT or quants. So this is one altcoin that I've never had to complain about once regarding its circulating supply. Even if you go back in a historical snapshot and see 2020, the supply is virtually the exact same. And QNT, even per the Bitcoin chart, so QNT versus Bitcoin, let me pull it up over here. It ranged for a few years. We can see coming out in 2018 and then exploded. And what's crazy is since January of 2021, essentially the start of the bull run for quant, we can see versus Bitcoin, even today at today's price, we're still up over 2,000% or over 22x versus Bitcoin. That means if you bought Bitcoin and QNT both in January of 2021, your QNT position would be over 2,000% plus higher than Bitcoin. And of course, it still hurts if you're buying maybe the tops when Q&T was at an all-time high at 400, but overall, if you were in early and you simply waited several years, you did exceptionally well. And I was doing YouTube videos on Q&T thanks to I Am Legion all the way back here, so it did that initial run-up. I did not get here. Shout out to the guys that were in the ICO. I am incredibly jealous. And the majority of my buys back in the day were right around $3. Next up, by Crypto Eddie, so the top 5 most interesting blockchains to watch in 2023. We can see Flare Networks right here. Think about it. Roughly 10 million people in January will be owners of Flare, the token. So it's no longer called Spark, just FLR. And this is shared by Block Telegraph, and right within her screenshot, launching in early 2023 with a highly anticipated airdrop to all XRP holders from 2020. It's expected that the number of users to receive the native token will reach over 10 million. That is one of the largest airdrops in history. Also saw Kai sharing that a Uni X Punk just sold for over 16,000 XRP. We have Michael Saylor yet again. MicroStrategy has increased its Bitcoin holdings by 2,500 Bitcoin. As of December 27th, MicroStrategy holds approximately 132,500 Bitcoin, which was acquired for $4 billion at an average price of $30,397 per Bitcoin. I saw Darren Moore sharing a bank that essentially gives Saylor his loans, and it looks like their shares are not doing so well. And Michael Saylor, even though he's a huge Bitcoin maximalist, the man is an absolute genius. Now, I know he's made his fair share of business mistakes, but the guy is like an engineer and very well educated. But the thing is, I don't care how smart you are. Risk is always involved. Anything can happen. So many black swan events that could take place, especially in crypto today after the SBF debacle. But Michael overall is a very smart guy. If you guys have watched maybe a few hours of his interviews with different people, he knows what he's talking about. Now, does he get a little impulsive and over-leveraged at times? I think so, but hey, we're all mad here. Same thing looking at markets, guys. I mean, even algo has been non-stop dumping down to 16 cents. We have a gap at 14 cents. I am just praying for a 2023 where we can recover. The worst case for me is an extended bear market, and I personally don't think that's going to happen. Now, I have vested interest. I hold crypto. If you don't believe in it, that's completely fine. But I personally believe the probability after over a year of Bitcoin being in this downtrend without any type of retracement and going back to previous cycles, Bitcoin eventually does retrace. And what does that mean? I'm definitely not interested in capitulating my algo and selling the bottom. I want a dollar cost average. If we go to lower levels, I will accumulate. I bought algo at 30 cents. So if I believe in the project, they're still building. They did funding of $300 million. They're part of the DMI Symposium connected to a $43 trillion think tank, and they're still hitting their roadmap and a bunch of active partners, meaning that this is an active project. Yes, it's a legitimate project. Is it frustrating that some of the price action for a variety of cryptos have not done well this year? Absolutely. But crypto is not for the faint of heart. But during bear markets, that is where the actual faith is tested. And that's why I'm just sticking to the high conviction plays for now. When the bull run comes back, that's when I'll get a lot more involved in microcaps again, looking at high risk, high reward plays. But right now, I'm just keeping my money in a very select few projects that are building. Because for any altcoins that are in drawdown, I believe this is a great time for me to personally just keep accumulating and dollar cost averaging. Algo's at 16, 17 cents. If it goes back to $1, that is over a 6x return. Now, of course, we had different assets do crazy blow-off tops, challenging previous all-time highs, hitting the 786. Some created a new high. I'm definitely looking for any type of crazy structure or fractals to replicate for some altcoins in 2023. Because it has happened before. Zilliqa did, what, a 6 to 8x return. Waves did the same thing. Some of these just absolutely explode. If I have any alts, whether it's Casper, XRP, no matter how much I believe in them long term, if I see a parabolic move like this in a matter of weeks or even within 2 months, and it does a multiple 100% move, I'm selling 50%, maybe I'm selling 75% of my holdings just to reassess, because the probability that we come back down to retest levels weeks or months later is very high. And that's when I'd attempt to buy back if I didn't actually put those funds somewhere else. So this is Algo versus Zilliqa on the daily. We've talked about upper levels for Algo. We did a lot of dedicated Algo videos back in 2020. A lot has changed and there's been a lot more developments. And overall, I'm a big believer in Algo long term. So what do you guys think for the future of crypto for 2023? Do you think we're going to do a retracement? Do you think we're going to be set to rally and create a new all-time high? Do you think we're going to trend sideways for months until the next Bitcoin halving? Or do you think we fall even lower to the next support level? What's interesting about the monthly Bitcoin chart is we can see this is the lowest the Bitcoin momentum has ever been in history. And historically, when the monthly RSI for Bitcoin is this low, it is a great time to DCA. Now, you guys know my thoughts. I like Bitcoin. I wish it well, but I'm much more interested in altcoin plays. I think altcoins that are building real products for enterprises at scale have much higher asymmetric return potential. because I'm looking for those home runs in the future. Predicting short-term trends on the daily or the 4-hour, it's tricky. Of course, you can have some winning seasons, but you're also going to have some losing seasons. Predicting longer-term trends is a lot easier. And although I'm not the biggest advocate for Bitcoin, I respect it. It's the king of this market. It gave birth to a new asset class. And we've seen during each Bitcoin halving every 4 years, Bitcoin usually rallies, whether it's 100% or 300% beforehand. Now, this is not financial advice, but something I'm entertaining is that this cycle is going to be vastly different than the previous 3. I feel like the majority of the market is incredibly bearish. I think that they're all seeing us, go low, range sideways for months or another year, and then begin to retrace before the halving. Now, is that possible? Yes, and I think that would be the worst case, and I think it's important to psychologically prepare for that if that did occur. But imagine if we actually did a big retracement or challenge the all-time high well before this halving, and then, instead of pumping during the next Bitcoin halving, like everybody expects, like all institutions have played year over year multiple times, imagine a bull run or a big retracement before the halving, and then a crash during the halving. That would be super interesting, and that's actually what I was sharing with that Zil fractal. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate hitting the like button and subscribing. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, my link tree is linked right in the top of this YouTube video description with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.